Welcome back, guys. It's Kevin. It's my favorite part of the day, engaging with all of you. In case you missed the previous video, you're not gonna wanna miss it. It was a massive one. I showed you how to design an engaging Shopify website from scratch that's unlike anything out there that your competitors are putting up. So in case you missed that video, and again, I can't emphasize enough how much you're gonna need that, click right here.
Just to give you guys a sneak peek, we're gonna be making ads that look like these.
Now that you've got a high converting website, you've got your product source, you got your products described, now we're actually gonna move into the realm of finally advertising to some customers and getting some sales. So in this video, I'm going to reveal and create step by step 3 different Facebook ad styles that are responsible for all the success my team and I have experienced. So without further ado, let's get going.
Alright guys, hope you're super excited for this first creative type. It is going to be the first out of 3 that I'm going to go over in this video. Before I begin, I want to give a disclaimer that I'm going to be piggybacking on a lot of the content I went through in the Shopify web design video. So if you haven't seen that one, make sure you click into the channel and watch that one. And even if you are just looking for help on creatives and you're not that interested in watching how to design a really engaging Shopify site, which honestly you should be, just know a lot of the content I cover here is going to be in reference to content I've already covered in the previous video. This first ad style is a very simple concept. It's called a still image creative, and you're actually going to see a lot of your favorite brands doing this exact same thing. Essentially, it's going to be an HD picture, usually of an individual interacting with a certain product, and the products in front of that HD picture. Now, when a dropshipping business decides to leverage this type of creative, which is our favorite type of creative, we by far and large use this more than anything else, it becomes very special because it accomplishes 2 things. Number 1, it communicates trust to the consumer because they think, wow, this is a very legitimate brand that invested a lot of resources into a photo shoot, into some sort of media creation to make this advertisement. And number 2, because the products are featured so prominently, the data you're collecting, such as click-through rate and cost per link click and the total number of link clicks, is actually indicative of something, because there's no reason why a customer would click on an advertisement featuring your products unless they're actually interested in your products. So this is something that's very, very exciting that I want to share with you guys, and it's also really easy to do. And without further ado, let's get started. The first thing we're going to do here is actually adjust it to the right canvas size. So we're just going to image canvas size, and we're going to make this a square 1400 by 1400 pixels, and this is because this is the most optimal way to run Facebook ads these days from a creative perspective. We're going to resize the image so it fits onto the canvas, and you want to adjust it so the parts of the image that you actually want to show on the creative is aligned just right. And we're going to zoom in to get a little bit more detailed, and just like that, it's gonna look good. Alright, let's give this image a clean white background. We'll use the rectangle tool and select white as the color option. We're gonna drag a rectangle right above this image. And of course, we gotta move the layer down, and there you go, it's pearly white. Let's spice things up by adding some products now. So we're actually gonna pick some products to add in. We're gonna push the MMA shorts right now. And as you can see, it's super easy. You just copy and paste it in and move the layer to the top and adjust it. I found that it works really good with 3 products, so we're going to pick 3 products right over here. And again, simple copy and pasting, and you can choose whatever product that you want to push that kind of makes sense with the image background. Now, some of you guys might be wondering, but Kevin, these shorts aren't the same shorts in the picture. Aren't customers going to be confused or deceived? The thing is, you'll be surprised at how many big brands are actually using stock photos as well. And honestly speaking, the customers are going to focus on the product image and just assume that you invested the money to create the content in the background. So that's a little hack. And in fact, we've even sold products where the jackets, or let's say the shoes in the front, are completely different from the model used in the background. And honestly, they were some of our best converting ones. So get creative with this. It doesn't even have to feature a product. You know, if you're selling, let's say, belts, maybe in the background you could put a bunch of cows because you're going to be very savage like that. It's whatever you want to experiment with. You could put hot girls. We were selling dry bags before. We had really hot girls in the background that honestly didn't really have anything to do with the dry bags, and it still worked really well. Now it's time to clean the white backgrounds and remove them so it fits in with the picture. We're gonna use the magic wand tool and set it at a tolerance level that I know is a sweet spot for us at 35, and you just simply start removing them just like that. For more complicated pictures that you need to remove backgrounds on, check out the video I put out on removing backgrounds. That'll be very, very helpful. But for these pictures, it's a simple magic wand hack. Alright, now that we've removed the white backgrounds from these images, it's time to actually arrange them in a very visually appealing way, and that's super easy to do. You just simply drag around the layers and also move them. You can use your arrow keys or your mouse, so let's just do this. And I just want to clarify something. This style is something that has worked for us across niche, across various products, and it just seems to kill it every single time. Literally 3 products that have some sort of continuity to them. Sometimes it can be a variety of products that just fit some sort of theme, a really HD background, and bam, you've literally got a formula for millions of dollars in sales. So we're gonna arrange it in this way, where 2 are in the back and 1 is in the front, just like this. But we're not done yet, because there's something that we can do even more to make this look more professional and visually appealing. We're gonna make this image more dynamic by using the special tool called the ellipse tool. And don't worry, I have no idea what an ellipse is either. Apparently it's like a cool version of a circle. I don't know why we can't just call it a circle, but we're gonna make it black and we're gonna draw it right under the shorts where a shadow would be, and let's adjust it in the right position. And now we're actually gonna go ahead and move the layer down. Remember, when you move layers down, the object goes backwards, and when you move layers up, it goes in front. So we want obviously the shadow to be behind the first pair of shorts that is in front right over there. We're gonna go to filter, press blur, and then Gaussian blur. Yes, you wanna click convert. And now we're gonna make the settings just right so it looks like a shadow. And there you go. Now we've achieved this sort of 3D-like effect. And quite simply, we're gonna copy and paste this and then adjust the sizes for the other pairs of shorts, and you'll see now it looks even more professional and even more clean. And this is the standard that we're really trying to achieve, because big brands spend a lot of money and a lot of time on their creatives, and that is the standard we want to compete against. You don't want to just be like the other scammy dropshippers. You know, you want to communicate trust and professionalism to consumers, and that's how you differentiate yourself. So just because this seems like a tedious process, you'll be surprised at how much an impact an ad copy like this can make compared to if you didn't make this adjustment. That looks pretty good, right? Too bad we're not done. We're striving for perfection. So we're gonna select all of the layers that contains these MMA shorts, and then we're gonna Control C and Control V. In case you didn't know what that is, it's copy and paste, blow your mind. And then we're gonna move it down and press transform, flip vertical, and we're gonna move it further down. And now we're actually gonna go in and make sure these layers are at the very bottom, behind the shadows, behind the original shorts, so it doesn't cause any sort of visual fallacies here. And now we're gonna take each individual clone and move it right next to the original image, just like that. Don't worry, this is definitely gonna go somewhere. We're not just fooling around on Photoshop for no reason. And let's just make sure everything is looking great, because the next step is gonna blow your mind. We're gonna now go ahead and add a mask layer over here, and then we're gonna use something called the gradient tool and draw a line up and get ready to get mind blown, because it's gonna happen. Bam! You can see now there's a reflection. So take a look at this now. It looks 3D. The items look a lot more engaging. It looks reflective. This looks like something done by a true professional, and this is how you communicate trust to your consumers before they purchase. And of course, we're gonna add in some text. Just simply take that horizontal text tool and we're gonna come up with the messaging. Obviously, this is gonna be a new store, so we're gonna make this a store launch sale, and you just simply type out store launch. Sorry guys, I'm not gonna be able to teach you how to spell. That's something you have to learn on your own time. We're gonna move the layer all the way up so it appears prominently in front of all of the objects. And let's center it real quick where we want it to be. And you can see that it doesn't really stand out, so we're gonna have to change the color of this text. And guess what color we're gonna change it to? You guessed it, the same color as the logo. I already went over how to do this in a previous video, so I hope you guys remember. And we just simply copy and paste that code over, and it'll look exactly like the logo read. And now we're gonna resize it. Even now, it still doesn't look very appealing. That looks like some Microsoft style font. So we're gonna be changing it to our favorite font, Royal Fighter, and it's gonna be very continuous with the rest of the things we've created for this site. We just wanna adjust it and make it perfect right over here. And we're gonna add even some more pizzazz by giving it an outer glow. And all we have to do is make some adjustments. Let's make this a very thin black outer glow, and there you go. It's looking like some Street Fighter level graphics right now, and honestly, if this is not going to catch someone's attention, I really don't know what will. But we're not done yet, because store launches aren't exciting enough. We've got to give this baby a sale to create even higher sense of urgency and also more interest from the consumer. So we're going to change this to the font for store launch. Obviously, we're going to make this 50% off. And for you guys that don't know this, you can create a sale simply by changing the compare at price in Shopify. We're going to make this aesthetically uniform, so we gave it a glow as well. And let's just play around with it so we can put it in the perfect location. Something I do want to call out is you got to actually do some experimentation on what level of sale you want to run. Obviously, you don't want to do anything crazy, ridiculous. You know, if you're selling these MMA shorts, you don't want the compare at price to be like $500. No one's going to believe that unless these shorts are curing cancer. So we're going to make sure that this is moved up. And again, we're just putting up the finishing touches. Let's move this image up. And honestly, bam. That is a crispy ad, and honestly, I really want to click it myself and go buy some of these MMA shorts. Alright, the second style of creative I'm going to show you is very similar to the first style, but it's even more dynamic, and I don't see a lot of people using this, even though it's very powerful. And quite honestly, there are millions of reasons why you should be using this creative. And essentially, we're going to be turning this image, which is a stock photo, into something very dynamic that actually plays like a video on Facebook, and it's what we call a slideshow creative. Surprise, we're going to start off by resizing the canvas, and this time we're going to go with the handy dandy 1400 by 1600 pixels. And there we go. And now we're obviously going to have to adjust this image so that it fits onto this new canvas size. And this time you actually want to leave some white space at the bottom. So make sure you're doing that, and let's adjust this image accordingly until it's perfect. And 1 second. There we go. Of course, we've got to include some pearly whites, and by that I mean giving this image a white background. So let's use that rectangle tool with the white color selected and draw right on top of this image. And of course, we're going to move that layer down. And now we're actually ready to start thinking about some text. So again, we're going to use a store launch sale. We're not going to get too creative here. So let's just type out store launch, and this is that Royal Fighter font that we've been using in the past ad copy as well as throughout our store. We're going to make this the same color as, you guessed it, Fight Cartel Red. Honestly, Crayola better come up with a pen with this specific color of red. For those of you guys that know anyone at Crayola, hit them up. So we're going to make this text that same color. We're going to copy and paste the code in. There you go. Let's resize this baby over here, and we're actually going to be moving it all the way to the top and adjusting it accordingly until it looks pretty decent. Now, most people would settle here, but we're not most people, because I think it's kind of amateur hour, the fact that store launch is just right in front of this image like that. Looks like anyone can make this, so we're gonna fix that right now. And how we're gonna do this is by zooming in onto the layer with the two men, by first hiding that first layer with the text, and we're gonna use the polygonal lasso tool. I went over this tool in a previous video, and we're gonna be slowly and meticulously. And now I know you guys are gonna hate me for advocating for doing something like this, but hey, when the CTR rate is much higher, because this thing looks a lot cleaner, you're gonna be thanking me and wishing you spent the time to do this. So we're just gonna have to trace around the edges, and the edges I'm actually tracing is gonna be the area that originally was impeded by the text that we just saw. So, you know, you kind of have to be careful here, but you wanna go at your own speed. And once you're done, you just copy and paste. You'll have another layer, you move it on top, and bam, you see how now it's in front of that store launch text. But it's honestly blocking a little too much, because you can't really see what is exactly launching. And what we're gonna do is actually move this image down, and it'll take a few iterations of different adjustments of moving the image down and then the layer back up until we really get the right fit. So honestly, we're almost there, but let's just really make this thing perfect right here. And there you go. All right, now all we have to do is get rid of that annoying white space that's above the image right over there. And this is actually really easy to do. I'm gonna show you guys a hack that'll completely change your lives. And we're gonna have to click on the layer we wanna edit, use the rectangular marquee tool, and select the area of the original image that we wanna extend over the white space. So it takes some time playing around with, and then you just press edit, content aware scale, and you drag it up, and there you go. That white space is gone, and this looks really, really natural. No one can tell that this wasn't there beforehand. So now we're gonna make the text stand out a little bit more by using a little drop shadow, which I've explained in a previous video, and we're gonna make it pop out, and this is easy to do. And let's just tweak around the settings a bit, and we should be good to go because these are the previous settings that were saved, and there you go. Looks perfect. Now let's throw in a sale to tantalize these customers. We're gonna make this 50% off, and we're gonna use the font right there, so there's a little bit of difference and it stands out even more. So we're just gonna type that out and then drag it over here, and let's make this thing a little bit smaller. And obviously we wanna make this portion of it stand out as well, so we're gonna give it an outer glow, which I've already explained exactly how to do. So let's just go do that real quick. And we're gonna make it a thin outer glow, and there you go. Looks pretty dandy. All right, now that we've got the text taken care of, there's just another piece we want to add in, which is the logo in this little corner right there to make things feel a lot more branded. You're just gonna copy and paste the logo file from over here, and we're gonna paste it onto this image, resize it as so. And because it's already on a white background, it honestly works perfectly. And if it wasn't on a white background, obviously we all know how to clean it in that situation. But now there's a really good branded feel to this advertisement. It looks very professional. So let's add in some products to actually display for the customers. With the still image creative, we pushed the MMA shorts, but this time we're actually gonna be pushing some gloves. So all we have to do is just go to our product page, pick which glove we want to push. I'm only going to be pushing one this time, so we're going to go with this black pair, copy the image, and you just want to paste it over here and put it in the right corner. Again, you have to aesthetically decide where the glove should belong, but I think that's a really good position. The magic wand tool will get rid of the background really easily. If your picture is a little bit more complicated, just use one of the techniques we covered in the previous video on getting rid of product background. Just like with the still image, we're not done yet. We want to be even more professional and crisp, so we're going to add in some shadows, and we do this with the ellipse tool. And a little bathroom break, I actually found out the difference between ellipses and circles. Ellipses are essentially ovals. So hope you guys are learning all sorts of things here, not just e-commerce, all sorts of essential life skills. Let's draw this ellipse right below and give it a little Gaussian blur, and that should make it look really, really clean and like an accurate shadow. And we want to make sure that obviously it looks realistic and it's also positioned in the right way. And we're actually going to move this layer all the way down right underneath the layer with the gloves, just so it's really, really easy to manage. We're going to take it an even further step and add in a little reflection, which we did with the still image. So we just copy and paste this boxing gloves, and then obviously we're going to want to transform it and flip it vertical. Hope you guys remember how to do this. If you don't, you got to work on those learning skills and those memory skills, because these skills are something that really will differentiate your ad copies from everyone else's. So now that we've flipped it, we're going to move it right below over here, and then we're going to want to move that layer underneath the little shadow ellipse layer so it's logical. And then we're going to add a mask layer down below, use the gradient tool, draw that little sucker, and bam, it's a perfect reflection. Now, if this was a still image, we would be done, but this is not. This is a slideshow, so we're gonna save this file, and this is gonna be one panel of a series of slides that's actually gonna turn into a video. You're gonna see it's really, really cool and engaging, and not something that's abused by a lot of dropshippers. So we're actually gonna be switching the product that's in this lower right panel, and as you will see, it'll start rotating to different products, so it's turning a still image into something more dynamic. So we're gonna go ahead and pick out another glove. I'm gonna use this blue pair right now. We're gonna copy this image and paste it over, and essentially this is gonna replace that black pair of gloves, so then you can see the gloves are gonna be transforming. We're using this magic wand tool to remove the white background, but you can see it's actually latching on to that little bit of white detail right there, and that's not something that we want. So we're gonna get really intricate, and we really want to make this perfect. Again, extra time that you spend on something like this can really translate into crucial increases in CTR. So we're gonna use the polygonal lasso tool and get really intricate around this glove. And for those of you guys that have been following along, internalizing lessons of Photoshop, there's a lot of strategy behind it, right? Essentially what we're doing is we're removing the white areas that's touching the white part of the glove that was interfering with the magic wand, and once we do that, the magic wand should prove to be a lot more effective. But we're just gonna be very detailed here and make sure it works. So maybe this time the magic wand will actually be a lot more effective, and you can see it's still latching onto that white little bit. So we're gonna go back and zoom in even further so we can clear that problem up. And let's pick the right tool here. Again, this polygonal lasso tool, and let's remove that extra little bit next to the white. And in general, if your magic wand doesn't work and changing the tolerance levels doesn't work, this is basically a sure microscopic way of fixing the situation. So let's delete that area, and bam, the magic wand tool is now selecting the right areas, and we can simply remove the white background perfectly. So now we can move it over to where the black gloves are. We're gonna want the blue pair of gloves to be just above the black pair of gloves perfectly, and I think you guys can already start to imagine what type of animation we're creating here. You can imagine that in a Facebook ad, this sort of type of motion and transformation is gonna bring a lot more engagement and stop people from scrolling on their phones or whatever device they're gonna view this advertisement on. And in order to hide the black pair of gloves, you just simply go to that layer and hide it. Obviously, you want to maintain some consistency and do to this pair of blue gloves the same thing we did to the black gloves. So we're going to do the same reflection effect, and I want you guys to try this now without me verbalizing the instructions, because we've already done it once. You're going to have to use that mask layer and also the gradient tool. Those are hints, but you guys should be able to do the rest. And you know, it's important to make sure that there's this consistency, because if you're already doing this much work, may as well take the extra step and make sure this advertisement is as professional as possible. We're going to save this as a different file because this is going to be the second panel of our overall slideshow. Alright, so now I'm going to speed up how I'm going to add in a lot more different variations of different gloves. You want to give customers a feel that you have a lot of different product selection, as well as not overwhelm them too much where you're just spamming a lot of random items. This part's gonna be fast forwarded as the process is identical to what I just showed you 2 times, so I'll see you at the end of this. One thing to absolutely remember, guys, is to save every single panel as you make them. So every single time there's a color variation, I'm saving this file because, again, these are individual panels for Facebook. And now we're actually going to go into Ad Manager and plug these different images we made into a very engaging slideshow. So you want to click on Add Media, All Images, and this is where you're going to actually upload the images. And this is where I've saved the files. We're going to click all of them and upload them into Facebook. And now these are assets that we can leverage in Facebook. So you're gonna wanna now remove this. Facebook will automatically assume it's a still image, but again, we're making a slideshow. You click Create Slideshow, and you're gonna wanna click Square All right, that was a Shopify sale. Let me mute that thing so it's not too annoying. And for duration, that's sort of the interval between every single slide. This is something you can play with. We like to go with 0.5 and make sure that you pick original instead of square for the layout, because the dimensions we gave you is actually the most optimal on phone that takes up the most real estate on your phone. And once you've plugged it in, you can see this is what the slide will actually look like. It's pretty cool. And you just click confirm and upload this bad boy over here. So now we're finished with the creative portion of creating this advertisement. As you can see, it's gonna be very engaging, and that little motion of changing products is gonna stop people from scrolling, which is a lot of the battle in creating a high CTR. And now you actually have to come up with the copyright for this particular ad. We use some pretty basic language that we've tested over time, but a really cool feature that Facebook recently released, which should be pushed to all of your ad managers, is you're actually able to explore multiple options for primary text, header text, etc. And what it will actually do is leverage its machine learning algorithm to find the best combination. So feel free to load as much of it in there as possible, and just make sure you're giving this ad at least 3 days of spend, $5 per ad copy within the ad set. You're gonna wanna change this call to action to shop now, because that's obviously the thing that's most appropriate. And the last but not least, you're gonna wanna preview this ad on different platforms, especially mobile. So you just send notification to Facebook, it'll send it to your phone. And we've noticed that most of our sales and our traffic comes from mobile devices. So that's a very, very crucial step. And there you go, you have a beautiful slide. Alrighty, last but not least, I'm going to show you the final creative that we have found a lot of success using, and that is the Carousel advertisement. It's the most simple and most basic to set up, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't work, because I know there's a lot of you basic folk out there and you guys are still putting in work. Creatives are the same way. Carousel ads are a very, very simple concept. It's essentially a showcase of the different types of products your store sells, or a showcase of a particular collection of products in a very, very clean and professional manner. It's not going to be as eye-catching as maybe some of the other creatives, but it's responsible for millions of dollars in sales for our particular business. And also, we found that it's worked across various niches, and sometimes it even beats out the still images and the slideshows that we are running. And especially because it's easy to set up, there's no excuse for you not to test this. And I just want to call out that there's so many different ways to set up a carousel, and one of the easiest ways is go through a third-party app such as Trackify or Pixel Perfect, where they'll actually pull the catalog from your store into Facebook, which kind of makes it a little bit easier. Carousel ads are frequently used for retargeting, and in fact, it can even kill it with cold traffic, which is what we found in some of our sites. Carousel ads are actually the most effective ads that get the highest return on ad spend, and the ones we spend the most money on. I'm going to show you one particular way to set up a carousel, and without further ado, let's get started. Making a carousel is quite simple. All you have to do is go to your product and pick the image that you want to showcase your product. The way we're going to make this carousel is essentially a collection of different images, whether they're all representing the same product or different products. You can see that we've uploaded everything over here, so we're just going to pick that hoodie right over here, and this is the first image in the carousel. And all a carousel is just multiple images that someone can scroll through. What we found is very effective is to put the name of the item for the headline over here. In the description of the carousel, we're usually including some messaging regarding a sale to really engage consumers, or we're including something like we offer free global shipping. That's something for you to test. You'll notice I just linked this particular panel of the carousel to the product page of the actual product that we're pushing. We found this to be very effective for us, but you can also run into your lander. You'll notice that the carousel part of Ad Manager also features this sort of dynamic caption testing, and this caption is exactly what appears above the carousel, so there's no harm in putting a lot of different options on there, and Facebook will actually determine the best combination. So you're going to want to use some with emojis, some without emojis. We've noticed that sometimes all we change is that we're using emojis, and bam, conversion rate can be as high as 30% more than before we use emojis. Who knows? Consumers are crazy. Maybe it's teenage girls that are buying our products. Probably not. I know it's mostly guys, but some people just love emojis, and you'll see that in this style of carousel, we're rotating the same product. So it's going to be one product on all different angles, and these images are all from AliExpress. Obviously, we cleaned them up. and then another product and all of its angles. And this is really cool effect as someone scrolls through the carousel and it looks very crisp and professional. Another approach that you can take is just to have a lot of different product images of different products within the same carousel to sort of give a feel of, hey, these are all the different products that we're pushing. This is more of like a dynamic product carousel that really crushes it on retargeting, but you could also try it as cold traffic as well, which a lot of people have great results with. We prefer that rotation style, but again, testing is super important. You can treat this just like SCDs. You got to test all the time. That was a little inappropriate, but you get the point, and now this might be your best creative moving forward.
All right, guys, so you just found out the Facebook advertising creatives that generated $20 million sales for me and my team. I just gave away all the secrets. My goal is for you guys to put me out of business. And again, I just want to stress that practice is super important. One of the earliest things I did when I first started is I would take random product photos from AliExpress and pretend that I was making ads for them. You'll be surprised at how much 4, 5, 6 repetitions of the same ad creative can get you really fast and in the zone on Photoshop, which is an essential skill moving forward in the world of e-commerce. And also remember one thing, there's no objective right answers in e-commerce or anything in the world of entrepreneurship. You have to be proactive and continue to test new methods. Sure, these are the 3 ad styles that we like the most, but that doesn't mean that we're not investing time, money, and energy to always test different styles of creatives and always innovate in this marketplace. At the end of the day, e-commerce is a horse race where everyone can push the same products. So how you differentiate yourself is going to be on your website design, on your creatives, and your ad strategy. And the only way you're gonna be innovating and staying ahead of the curve is if you're testing, and coming up with other things to do. There's no way in this world for you to get rich quick and easy, because if there was, other people would already crowd it out. These ad styles are the framework for thinking about creatives, but you still have to test different variables like the messaging you're going to use, the different captions you're going to have on these creatives, the products you're actually going to feature, the different ad captions and more, the sales messaging. And we still make ads every single day that don't pan out. I would say as much as 50% of the creatives that we're testing on a day-to-day basis don't end up panning out, and some of them are very high conviction ones that we really thought were going to do amazing, but sometimes you just can't control what consumers want to see and what the marketplace is ready for. So if you've been here since the first video, start feeling really excited, because I'm not gonna be able to sleep tonight thinking about what I'm about to do in the next one. We're finally here and we're going to be launching Facebook ads on day 1. So we're gonna be ready by the next video to actually start spending money on Facebook to start trying to get some sales. This means that between now and the next video, you should try your best to follow along from the previous videos, including this one, and bring your site up to par so you can launch Facebook ads with me hand in hand. It's finally time to make some money, so let's make it rain. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you enjoyed it. A lot of people think I'm crazy for putting this content out there for free, so make sure you press like and subscribe, share it with your friends. I'm on a mission to transform e-commerce education, and I can't do it without you. You can follow my journey at Kevin Zhang Official on Instagram. DM me and I promise I'll respond to every single DM, and join the discussion in my private Facebook group, Generation E. I promise